They told her to sit down, to stay silent, to know her place. But Lieutenant Commander Imani Graves, a highly decorated Navy SEAL, never took orders from cowards in uniform, especially not in a courtroom. She wasn't there as a defendant. She wasn't even there for herself. Imani was simply standing up to testify on behalf of her cousin, a local teacher falsely accused of assaulting an officer. But when Officer Travis Morton, known around town for his short temper and long history of brutality, caught sight of Imani, black, proud, and composed, he didn't see a soldier, he saw a threat. As she approached the witness stand, Travis shoved her, right there, in front of the judge, in front of everyone. The courtroom fell silent. The moment felt like it froze in time, until Imani calmly stood up, dusted off her jacket, and without raising her voice, looked Travis in the eye and said, "You just assaulted a U.S. Navy SEAL, on federal property, in front of a judge, and about 30 cell phones." The tension was electric. No one knew what would happen next. Subscribe to Dark Side of Luna for stories that reveal power, resilience, and justice in the most unexpected places. Because this is only the beginning. The bailiff moved in to de-escalate, but the judge, an older man known for turning a blind eye to police misconduct, barely reacted. Instead, he turned to Imani and said, "Watch your tone, Miss Graves. We don't need any dramatics here." A low murmur rippled through the courtroom, but Imani didn't flinch. She reached into her jacket pocket and calmly pulled out a small flash drive. "I was hoping it wouldn't come to this," she said, her voice steady but fierce. "But I recorded my entire interaction with Officer Morton, from the courthouse steps to this very moment." The judge leaned forward, surprised. Travis Morton's smug expression twisted into panic. "You recorded what?" he barked. "That's right," Imani replied. "Body cam footage may disappear. Reports might get lost in the system. But my people trained me well. Always have a backup, always have proof." The flash drive contained not only her own recording, but dozens of files leaked anonymously from within the department. Whistleblowers, victims, internal memos, all detailing years of misconduct, abuse, and cover-ups, many involving Officer Morton. The courtroom was no longer quiet. Gasps, whispers, phones typing. Everyone was paying attention now. Imani looked straight at the judge. "You want to ignore my testimony? Fine. But the Department of Justice won't." Just as the judge reached to call a recess, the courtroom doors burst open. Two sharply dressed individuals stepped inside, one flashing a federal badge. "Sorry to interrupt, Your Honor," the woman said calmly, "but we're here on behalf of the U.S. Department of Justice. We've received credible reports of obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and civil rights violations involving this court and local law enforcement." The judge froze. Officer Morton visibly paled. The woman walked directly toward Imani and handed her a sealed envelope. "This is your official notice. As of today, you're being temporarily deputized as a federal consultant on this case. Your first-hand accounts and evidence will form the basis of a federal inquiry." The entire courtroom erupted in disbelief. You can't do that," Morton stammered. "Oh, they can," Imani said with a smirk. "And they are." Outside, news crews had already gathered, tipped off anonymously. But here's what nobody knew. Imani's real mission wasn't just exposing one cop. She had been quietly building a coalition of veterans, whistleblowers, and reform advocates for over a year. This courtroom moment, it was the spark, one that would ignite a nationwide reckoning. The courtroom fell into a stunned silence. Officer Rick Halverson, who had strutted in with arrogance, now sat frozen as the judge reviewed the newly submitted evidence. But what no one expected was who walked in next. A woman in full Navy dress blues, ribbons glinting under the light, a quiet storm in her eyes. She was Commander Nia Jefferson, Malik's older sister. Not only was she a senior legal advisor for the Department of Defense, she was the one who had personally been overseeing the investigation into Halverson's unit for civil rights violations. Halverson's smug smirk vanished as Nia took the witness stand. The crowd murmured, reporters scrambled, and the judge leaned forward. Nia didn't just testify, she dismantled him. Email records, body cam footage he thought was deleted, whistleblower statements from within the department. She presented it all with chilling precision. And then, in a moment no one saw coming, she pulled out a letter, an order signed by the Attorney General. Officer Halverson wasn't just being suspended. He was under federal arrest. Malik sat tall. The very system meant to break him was now collapsing under the weight of the truth. And this was just the beginning. Just as Halverson was being escorted out in cuffs, red-faced and stunned, his lawyer stood up in protest, waving a file. "This is a mistrial," he shouted. "This evidence was obtained unlawfully." But Nia just turned to the judge and calmly said, "Your Honor, permission to introduce the sealed document from the Pentagon." The judge nodded. Nia handed over a sealed envelope. The courtroom held its breath as the judge opened it, eyes scanning the page, face growing pale. It wasn't just Halverson. 7 other officers in his precinct were implicated, not only in wrongful arrests, but in an elaborate scheme involving falsified charges, planted evidence, and extortion of vulnerable families, targeting mostly black and brown communities. A collective gasp rippled through the courtroom, and then came the real kicker. One of those officers was the court bailiff, the very man who had mocked Malik earlier that day. He tried to slip out unnoticed, but the moment he reached the exit, 2 federal marshals blocked the door. One by one, they were handcuffed in the same courtroom they had corrupted. The room that once symbolized Malik's humiliation now became a stage for a full-blown reckoning. The press erupted, phones lit up, hashtags started trending within minutes. And Malik, he looked at Nia, eyes full of gratitude and awe, but Nia just smiled. "This isn't about revenge," she whispered. "It's about justice, for everyone they tried to silence." Weeks later, the courtroom had become a different place. The corrupt officers had been fired, charged, and publicly exposed. The entire department was under federal oversight. New reforms were already being drafted, with Nia appointed as a special advisor for law enforcement accountability. Malik was officially cleared of all accusations, and his name was honored in a public ceremony attended by veterans, community leaders, and even the mayor. But the moment that brought everyone to tears, it was when a group of young cadets, most of them kids of color, presented Malik with a handmade plaque that read, "Thank you for fighting for us when no one else would." Malik, always stoic, had to wipe away a tear. Nia stood beside him, proud and unwavering. Their story didn't end with revenge. It ended with change, real, lasting, and meaningful. And in a world that often tries to silence the truth, they became the voice that echoed louder than ever. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that justice always finds its way, don't forget to like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to Dark Side of Luna for more powerful, real-life inspired stories that reveal the truth behind the silence. Because the world needs stories like these, and we need you to keep them alive.